I'm going to show you how to quickly and easily get Vultr high frequency server set up and get your WordPress website migrated over to it because, well, it is really freaking fast and it's really pretty low cost. Let me show you this video first because I actually set my local business website up, which is a very bloated WordPress install with no caching, no speed up options or anything like that. I set it up on 4 different hosting options: cheap shared HostGator, cheap shared A2 hosting, the startup and turbo plan, and then Vultr HF Cloudways. Now you'll see that A2 is really pretty freaking fast too, but it's a shared hosting environment, so it can vary a lot more wildly. You don't have the control over it like you do a VPS like Vultr HF on Cloudways. Let's just watch this real quick and then we'll jump into the tutorial. So boom, Vultr HF loaded, and then the other 2 load in. HostGator still sucking, going very slow there. You see the difference with all of them. Hosting matters when it comes to speeding up your WordPress site. So A2 hosting is a great shared option, but if you've got a site that gets a decent amount of traffic and you want to keep it, on a VPS server to where it's not getting constrained by other sites' resource usage, Vultr HF is for you. So here we go. On Cloudways, right here, you can go to the pricing tab and check out the pricing for it. You can get started with a free 3-day trial, but you'll see it right here if you click on Vultr, and then down here, toggle high frequency. The low budget option here, $13 a month for 1 gigabyte. This will hold a couple low traffic WordPress websites. So, you can really get quite a bit out of it. It'll get you more than you think, I think, in most cases, right? So you'll go through here and start for free. I'm not going to do this because I'm already signed up. And, well, it looks like it's going to redirect me into my account right now. Here we go. So we can see my servers right here that I've already got, but I'm going to add a new server just like you guys were doing it. So add a new server. It's going to ask me to select which application I want to install. You could do a custom PHP app or something if you really don't want to install anything, but most of us are going to be doing WordPress. We're going to name our app. So I'm going to name it Contractor Momentum, which is my live site that I'm going to be bringing over. You can see it right here. It's a pretty large WordPress website. It's about 4.5 or 5 gigs because I host my podcast on here as well. And name your managed server. I'm just going to call it Contractor Momentum. And project, just going to leave that alone. You really don't even need to have a project name in there. Now here we get to select our server. And notice that they're trying to kind of upsell you into something larger at this point. But I'm going to click Vultr and then standard, toggle high frequency, and then it's going to ask for your server location. Since I'm in Florida, I'm just going to select the closest one to me. I think it's got a Miami option in here, right there. And then launch now, right? So it's going to take it a couple minutes here to install it. So I'm going to go ahead and pause the video and we'll jump forward to when it gets installed. All right, our new server is installed. It only took about 5 minutes to install. For those of you guys that are watching the time clock up there, just 20 minutes or so has passed, and that's because I went to get a snack. So it only takes 5 minutes to install. It's really quick, easy, and painless. Now, if we toggle this setting from servers to applications, we will see right there, boom, there's the WordPress install that was just installed when I set that server up. So let's go in there. That's going to give us all the details, okay? Right here are all the details to our WordPress install that we're going to need. But now let's go to our WordPress website and do what we need to do there. So we're going to go to our WordPress website here and then head into the dashboard and install a plugin. So I'm going to go to plugins, add new, nope, not installed, add new. And then I'm going to search for Cloudways. This is the Cloudways migration tool. So Cloudways WordPress Migrator, and then I'm going to click Install Now. And then Activate. So we get this activation, or we get this plugin activated here in a second. And then it's time to put in all our information, right? So let's go back to our Cloudways screen where we're in that application on the server and start getting some information. So we got our email is the same one I like to use there. And copy that, put it in destination site URL. That's this right here, which is where you can see the actual site on a non-live platform. Right there, our public server IP address. Well, here's our public IP. The database name we're going to need. So database name, copy. And then an SFTP username and SFTP password. We're going to need to create this right now. So I'm just going to call it this. It really doesn't matter. Right there. And then we need to make a password for it. I'm going to use my handy LastPass app and generate a secure password. Copy it, put it in, and then I'm going to add that credential, and then I'm going to paste that password right there. I'm going to wait for it to save, check and make sure it saves. Seems like it did. And now it is time to migrate. I'm going to agree to the terms of service and then click migrate. So clearly here the migration tool is ran by Blog Vault for Cloudways. So it's going to validate the details here, and we're going to wait a couple minutes until this screen gets done. Well, actually, we really don't even need to do that because we've got this URL up here. So at any time, we can log in and check the process. Not log in, but just open a new URL, or open a new window, check the process. So boom, like so, it'll load and it'll tell you the progress. And we want to wait until this migration's entirely done. It depends on the size of your site, how long it'll take. I did some sites earlier that were about 3 gigabytes in size, and they took about 2 hours. So it does take a couple hours. So in this case, it's time to find something else to work on. I'm going to go ahead and do something else. And well, we'll jump ahead to once my migration has been completed, and I'll cover the final steps and what you need to do from there. Well, as you can see from this page, the migration has been completed successfully. Okay, so from here, it will allow us to view the migrated site, but it's going to be on Cloudways app's domain name, which is a pretty cool feature. So that when you're doing development work and stuff, you don't actually have to set up a subdomain and all that. You can just work right on the Cloudways apps domain and then push it to live. But anyways, we can see that our site migrated over successfully here. This is it on the Cloudways apps server. And there's a live site, right? So it looks exactly the same. Everything was good. The final steps that we need to do here are switching our domain names over. We can do that easily in Cloudways, and then we'll have to go into our DNS and edit that. And then finally applying the SSL. So let's jump right into it. We go into Cloudways here. We're going to select the server that we created. And actually that might not have been the best way of doing it. We can select applications up here from the top and find the contractor momentum live. And right here on the left, we should see domain management. So there's domain management. So I'm going to go ahead and enter the domain. There's my domain. And I think we might also have to enter the www dot variant. I'm not 110% sure here. So let it update, and then I'm going to try to click add on. No, I think that's it. Okay. So now what we need to do at this point is get the IP address and update our DNS. So here's the public IP address. We're going to come in here to my DNS and Namecheap, and I'm going to update the value for my @host and my www.host to that IP that I just copy and pasted. Okay, so that is done, and then the final step that we need to do is the SSL certificate. And here's where we're going to have to put that in twice. So I'm going to enter my personal email address in here, and then I'm going to enter the domain name without the www, and then with the www dot. And I do think there are other ways of doing this, but this is just kind of the way that I started doing it, and it has no problems, and it works for me every time, so I stick with that. Then I'm going to click the install certificate. Then at this point, while it's doing that, we can do the DNS checker. So DNS checker right here will tell us when everything has propagated. And you can see it's pretty much already updated, you know, across the board with the exception of this one right here to that new IP address. So everything should be pretty good. It could take, you know, it could take a few hours, you know, of waiting for everything to propagate. But at this point, we should all be 100% good to go as soon as this finishes encrypting us on Cloudways. So enable HTTPS redirection. So we'll do that. I'm actually testing it on a private window at the moment, and it seems like it's good. So I'll pull that private window up for you guys. Private window, I'm going to type in that URL, and bingo, just like that. It's incredibly simple. A really simple process to getting your sites pulled over onto Cloudways and then deployed on what is essentially the fastest WordPress hosting that is kind of within means without spending hundreds or thousands of dollars a month. And even then, it wouldn't even really be that much faster. So you can get awesome and fast hosting for cheap on Cloudways. And this is how you set it up on Cloudways, Vultr high frequency hosting, and subsequently migrate your WordPress site over to it. So on that note, guys, if you have any questions, drop them in the comments below. Otherwise, if you like my marketing and WordPress insights, I share a lot of experience or experiments and experiences on my marketing tests that I do with Facebook ads. Look for the No Bullshit Marketing Facebook group somewhere around this video player.